Welcome to the Workplace Violence Prevention and Intervention Program. I'm pleased that you're here. Today you're taking a critical first step to make your workplace safer and less vulnerable for an attack. The concepts I'll share with you apply to every kind of organization: schools, healthcare facilities, churches, and businesses. Now you might be wondering why you need this training. So let me ask you 3 questions. Has your organization ever fired an employee or laid someone off? Are any of your coworkers dating or married or going through a divorce? Does your organization serve people who might be mentally ill or dealing with extreme stress? Chances are we can all answer yes to at least 2 of these questions. And that's why we need to be concerned about safety in our workplaces. Within everyday human situations lie the seeds of aggression that can lead to violence. In June of 2016, Omar Mateen killed 49 people and injured 53 others during a nightclub shooting in Orlando. In November 2017, Devin Patrick Kelly massacred 26 people and injured 20 at a small church in Sutherland Springs, Texas. Also in 2017, a lone gunman shot and killed 58 and injured over 500 innocent spectators at an outdoor concert in Las Vegas. And in 2 different incidents in 2018, student shooters took a total of 27 lives at Parkland High School in Florida and Santa Fe High School in Texas. These violent incidents, along with the many others we've experienced, are all different, and no 2 attackers are alike. Yet they do have one thing in common. All had shown obvious signs of aggressive behavior before they acted. And tragically, that behavior went unrecognized and unaddressed. After terrible violence occurs, we're left wondering, where's the element of prevention that could have kept the attack from ever happening in the first place? I can answer that question. You see, during my 30 years of corporate safety and security, I've discovered one constant. When it comes to preventing violence, nothing is more important than an organization's violence prevention program. Such programs must include policies, procedures, and training on how to identify emerging aggressive behavior and how to intervene to prevent violence from occurring. Why the emphasis on prevention? Because 81% of people who commit extreme violence have shown aggressive behavior or have talked about their plans before attacking. We call these indicators the pathway to violence. So if you can identify someone who might be on that pathway, you'll have an opportunity to act and diffuse the aggression before it explodes into violence. This training program will give you an effective research-based method for identifying aggressive behavior. You'll learn how to distinguish between unusual behaviors and those that are potentially dangerous. You'll gain the tools and knowledge you need to proactively intervene and stop the progression to violence. You'll be able to recognize suspicious devices, activities, and behaviors, and how to react if you observe any of them. You'll also learn how to formulate a response plan in case an attack occurs at your workplace. Although I sincerely believe a preventive approach can save countless lives, no program like this one can be complete without realistic options for surviving violence. That's why we'll spend time demonstrating how to choose the best tactics for responding to a violent attack. And finally, you'll learn how to interact with first responders when they arrive at the scene of an attack. So if you're ready to get started, we'll begin with some definitions. Welcome back. Before the exercise, we discussed different kinds of violence that can occur in a workplace. Now we're going to focus on how to recognize behaviors that may be escalating towards possible violence. We'll also discuss ways to respond when you see these signs. It's important to understand that people who commit violence don't fit any specific profile. That means we can't identify potential attackers based on age, race, religion, socioeconomic status. What we can do is focus on behaviors. If we look at mass shootings in the U.S. over the past 30 years, we'll see that a cognitive aggressor was responsible for each one. And in retrospect, we can also see leakage and other signs that the attacker was preparing for violence. Sadly, these signs were missed or ignored at the time. So let's do a short exercise to help you recognize leakage. Just follow the instructions in your workbook. We'll pause now for a brief quiz to review the information. Do you see the importance of paying attention to leakage and other signs of emerging aggression? The FBI has reported that 81% of mass shooters leaked their intentions before attacking. Among school shooters, leakage occurred before 100% of the incidents. What this means is that you and employees everywhere have an opportunity to prevent workplace violence by identifying behaviors of concern and intervening before an attack takes place. As you've heard, the warning signs are not always obvious. So let's discuss in detail some behaviors that may indicate danger ahead. Let's face it, we've all had bad days, and we've probably all acted on our emotions by saying or doing something out of character. So any one of the behaviors we've just discussed does not, by itself, predict future violence. When evaluating behaviors of concern, we want to look at the frequency of the behaviors, the duration or how long they last, and the intensity of the behavior. We also want to be aware of aggressive behavior that is escalating. And as you heard, significant changes in behavior must be noted as well. I hope you've seen how crucial it is to be aware of emerging aggression, including signs of domestic abuse, and then taking appropriate action. If we want our workplaces, our schools, and our churches to be safer, we can't afford to ignore potential problems and just hope they go away. We can't afford to believe that violence comes out of nowhere. It doesn't. And as you know now, there's a clear pathway to violence with signs we can recognize. And we can't pretend that violence could never happen in our workplaces. Sadly, we know that's not true. It's up to each and every one of us to be alert for signs of danger. We must not let lack of awareness or fear become roadblocks to action. If we believe violence is a possibility, we must have the courage to act. Let's pause here for a short quiz to help you review. So far in this training, we've discussed behaviors of concern, how to recognize them, and how to intervene before emerging aggression turns to violence. I truly believe a preventive approach is the best way to make our workplaces, schools, and houses of worship safer. Yet we can't ignore the possibility that violence may occur. And that's why we'll now turn to the topic of response. How to recognize when extreme violence is imminent, and how to protect yourself and those around you. Remember that earlier in this training we talked about the difference between primal and cognitive aggressors. Primal aggressors explode in rage, while cognitive aggressors plan and prepare before doing violence. You'll also remember that individuals who commit targeted attacks on workplaces are almost always cognitive aggressors. Keep that in mind as we explore in more detail the strategies for responding to extreme violence. Awareness and intuition are two powerful survival tools. And now I want to give you another one, a deeper understanding of mass killers and the weapons they may use. This knowledge can help you to be better prepared if you ever need to respond to an extreme violent event. Most mass killers are males. Often, they have a grievance or an axe to grind. They usually target people of their own age group, and they may not have an exit strategy after the attack, which means they're willing to die in the process. Mass killers typically follow the same sequence of events leading up to an attack. Experts have identified 5 phases on the pathway to violence. While they're typical of most mass killers, they don't always happen in a specific order. An aggressor generally experiences a strong emotion before the first phase begins. It could be a grievance, a feeling of injustice, a desire for revenge, fame or recognition, a problem that feels unbearable, or simply a desire to kill or be killed. During the first phase, the fantasy stage, the killer imagines himself doing the killing and dreams about the news coverage he'll receive. Let's talk briefly about what happens in the immediate aftermath of a violent incident. If the shooter is down or has stopped killing, you'll still be operating as an immediate responder. If you can, while following police instructions, you need to assist injured people while the police search and secure the building. Let's wrap up now by reviewing your response options when confronted with extreme violence. First, figure it out. Then choose the best option based on what is happening. Get out and stay out. Call 911 when it's safe to do so. Hide, making sure to spread out if there are more than two of you. Make your plan. And be prepared to fight. Your life is in danger. Above all, arm yourself with a survival mindset. Now that you've seen a demonstration, let's practice responding to the scenario you just watched. I think we all realize we can't wait for a shooting while sitting in our chairs. So the question is, how long will it take you to leave your desk and get up to the door or up against a wall? Let's have our class try it, and remember, first they'll get up from their seats and get into position. Shut and lock the door, place the doorstop, turn out the lights, pull down the shades. Barricade the door with anything heavy. Then be quiet and put the phones on silent mode.
What was that? What the hell was that? That was a gun. A gun? What was that?
Over there. All right, that's a shooter, and they come through the door.
Right.
You want to wrestle them to the floor, and you jump on their back, start punching them.
We now need to review what happens when law enforcement arrives at the scene of a violent incident. Things will still be very scary, and you should know what to expect. You'll need to stay in control of your emotions and reactions and maintain the survivor mindset. Officers usually arrive in teams. They may be wearing regular patrol uniforms with bulletproof vests, helmets, and other tactical equipment. They may be responding in civilian clothes. They could be armed with rifles, shotguns, or handguns. Officers sometimes also use pepper spray to control a situation. They may shout commands and push people to the ground for their own safety. Their first job is to find and control the shooter. So don't expect the police to help you get out or stop to treat the injured. Emergency medical services will arrive when the threat is over. The first law enforcement responders have to assume that everyone is a threat. They may not be polite. You should be prepared to have weapons pointed at you. You might be searched or handcuffed. Make sure you don't present a threat to the police. Do not point at them or point at the shooter. Don't make quick movements or run towards the officers. Don't yell or scream. And don't have anything in your hands. Officers are taught that hands kill. What you must do instead is raise your hands with fingers spread. Show your hands as you drop to the floor, keeping your arms and legs away from your body. And of course, follow all their instructions. When you reach a safe location, law enforcement will probably keep you there until the situation is under control. We've covered a lot of information in this program, and as we wrap up, I'd like to leave you with some important thoughts. Here's the first one. If we're serious about reducing the risk of violence in our schools and workplaces, we can do it. And we'll do it through prevention and early intervention. During this training, you also learn the warning signs of emerging aggression. You learn that violent aggressors tend to leak their intentions before they act. You saw that effective intervention not only helps if someone is in trouble, it can also help prevent aggressive behavior from escalating into a violent attack. So please, stay aware as you go about your daily activities. Know what's normal in your workplace and what just doesn't feel right. If you see behavior that concerns you or signs of escalating aggression, intervene. And remember, intervening is not something you have to do by yourself. Often the most appropriate intervention is reporting your concern to someone in authority. Signs of aggression and patterns of escalating aggressive behavior will not go away if we ignore them. So be observant for subtle changes in someone's behavior that may signal emerging aggression. Then act on your intuition. As an employee, teacher, medical practitioner, or other member of your organization, you're now in the best position to notice someone's pathway to violence. You're the one who can truly make a difference in making your school, church, or workplace a safer place for everyone. Now, take a few moments to review your workbook before completing the final exam.